Hi guys, it's Matt. I am a compulsive gambler in recovery and I am your mind and movement mentor here to help you. So, been procrastinating about making this video. This is the video that I don't want to make. In many ways, I thought I would never make. But around a month ago, after a long period, I did have a gambling relapse, and that lasted probably just over a week, maybe just shy of two. So as it stands, I'm currently 2 weeks without any gambling activity. And if I'm honest, it'd be very, very easy to sort of knock this channel on the head. Done about 25 videos. And, you know, I suppose there's a part of me that feels like I don't necessarily have too much to offer in the recovery world at the moment. It's all a bit disingenuous. But I'm trying to flip that and think differently about it. Very unfortunate what happened. When I do a bit of a post-mortem, it leads me to thinking that, you know, probably I wasn't managing certain emotional states in my life. I feel like the compulsive gambling that I do has often been born out of trying to escape life, trying to escape my overactive mind, trying to escape various levels of anxiety. It's obviously made those multiple times worse in the short term. Been struggling to sleep, been waking up sometimes in the night with kind of frantic heartbeat, like chest palpitations. Had a real kind of sense of a kind of a permanent low level of anxiety, which isn't very pleasant. I think it's probably the brain on some level rewiring itself. You know, even though I'm 2 weeks off, it was very all-encompassing, diving back into the gambling behaviour, which it was always going to be, because I am a compulsive gambler. A lot of the things I've spoken about on this channel in the past has been to kind of dissect that, and I am chronically an overthinker. I feel like I go down sometimes too deep down the rabbit hole in trying to second guess the how and the why, and there's definitely a merit in that, and that's why I've decided to continue the channel, because I do feel like I can offer a level of insight around recovery, but also kind of addiction itself. I think one strong plus point was I owned it very, very quickly before it escalated out of hand, or certainly quicker than I have done in the past. And there was a level of bounce back ability, which you might have heard me talk about in my other videos, which I feel like is almost kind of like a muscle that you strengthen. I don't feel like, as a compulsive gambler who's in a recovery period, you ever want to think proactively about what you'll do if you relapse. But maybe some of the strength that you kind of build through the recovery means that you've just got slightly stronger, more tenacity, if you will, to kind of go back into that world that you want to be in. And therefore, on some level, you can pivot just a little bit quicker, and that makes things, you know, a little easier. Yeah, it's a cunning and baffling and powerful addiction. It's made me think a lot about kind of what I want to get out of my life. It's made me think more about being proactive in a recovery space. I feel, as much as I was enjoying doing these videos and I was thinking lots about gambling and recovery, I was largely abstaining from gambling, not proactively recovering. So it's nice to connect with people who are in the GA fellowship. I feel like that's very, very powerful. I've started doing more meetings now, increased from 1 meeting to 2 meetings a week, because that is a fuel for recovery that is just so important. And in particular at the moment, where I'm on the ropes a little bit mentally, physically, spiritually, it's good to have that kind of support network, and good to kind of stack some days of not gambling so that I can kind of escape the fog and, you know, get back towards being my best self. So it's not a particularly uplifting message today, but one that is kind of important, and it would be incredibly disingenuous for me to just continue this channel without kind of mentioning this. I feel like relapse is in some ways a part of recovery. One thing I'm struggling about is the idea that I don't want to hate myself indefinitely for it. I want to kind of move forward and recover and go again, you know, bigger, better, longer, add more value into a proactive recovery. But at the same time, I don't want it to think like it was just nothing, because then, you know, the addiction brain obviously doesn't, it can sometimes use that as oh, it wasn't that bad, you know, or there's no real problem. So I'm kind of that paradox of wanting to sit in the feeling of how bad it is, so that I can kind of on some level learn that lesson going forward, or I can kind of emotionally anchor the challenges now that serve as preventative moving forward, in terms of not wanting to do it again, you know, creating the leverage of why I don't want to feel like this, reinforcing the problem that it causes, like I say, energetically, mentally, physically, spiritually, financially. It stifles my creativity and everything I want to do with my work, my career, my passion, my relationships. So it's just trying to kind of reconcile that festering in enough discomfort and pain, if you will, but at the same time not letting that just extrapolate out into an indefinite period of self-loathing that isn't proactive. So that's the balance that I'm trying to strike. I'm going to be back doing more regular videos, which might serve as a bit more of like a recovery diary in the short term. Like I say, despite this recent incident, I do feel like there's value I can offer as someone who is a compulsive gambler in recovery, who does various different things to try to mitigate the likelihood of gambling, who has a bit of a slightly off the wall kind of ADHD view of the world. And I make these videos for people that are compulsive gamblers, or are, I suppose, interested in the topic, or are kind of nearest and dearest to problem gamblers, and I hope that I can kind of offer value in that regard and continue to do so.